All right, so without further ado here, I want to introduce the mayor who's going to be speaking to you, Mayor Charlie Hales. So wonderful to have you here and have you hosting this city, Mr. Mayor. And Nancy, his wife, is here with us too, and thank you for joining us too. We had some remarkable conversations about where this city's going. It's incredible. So just a few words about Charlie Hales. He's held this office since January 1st, 2013, but before that served on Portland City Council from 1993 until 2003, then went into the private sector for a while, then came back to really look at what is it that we can do to make a city a better place. And he's very concerned with the economic community, with livable wages, ex-offender hiring incentives, benefit corporations, livable neighborhoods, building walkways, entitling the veteran homeless, developing underserved neighborhoods. And this city, you know, around the world is known for that. We have the Minister of Good Living, who's going to be the final speaker here today, Freddie Ehlers, who came from Ecuador to be here. And one of the reasons he came is because he'd heard such amazing things about this city, where a lot of you are from. So without further ado, I bring you Charlie Hales. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, John. Thank you all for being here this morning. It is a wonderful and exciting prospect that you're embarked on in this conversation this morning. And I want to welcome our visitors, not only our speakers, but others who've come here from elsewhere in the country and in the world for this conversation, and say to you, welcome to Portland, a city where weird is normal. And it's normal in this way because to some extent, in our culture and even in our public policy, we have tried to express love into tangible and intangible things that make us a better community. And I'll talk a little bit about that. But I would say that Portland is a place where communitarianism is real, and more real than other places, where localism is real. There's a street in Portland that many of us know called Alberta Street, and wonderful things happen on that street. But one of the most wonderful things about it recently is that the Pizza Hut closed. Why is that wonderful? Maybe you like Pizza Hut, but now with the Pizza Hut gone, every business on Alberta Street from Martin Luther King Boulevard to 33rd is a local business. There's no non-local business there. So as I said, I believe this is a city where love, or as you'll later hear, buen vivir, is expressed in culture and behavior to an extent, and in public policy to an extent, but there's more that we can do. We have businesses here that are not afraid to incorporate love and communitarianism into their values. We have over 100 B corporations, companies that care about business and profit and improving the community. I can start my day walking into City Hall, past the vegetable garden where the parking lot used to be, like that, and stop at Happy Cup, which is a local business that employs developmentally disabled adults. And I can get my latte, head up to my office, do my work during the day, and on the way home, maybe stop at Hopworks, the first brewery in the Northwest to be a B Corp, and I can pay for those transactions by pulling out my combination wallet cell phone case made by a local company called LoopedWorks that upcycles leather scraps and makes useful things. So those businesses are woven into the life and commerce of our city, or even some of our city leaders, and I like that very much. So the theme of this conference seems to be fitting to us as a place and as a people, that people, planet, prosperity, and purpose are resonant ideas for us as Portlanders. And we try to, again, to express that in our culture, but it's who we are. There was a wonderful survey done last year by Davis and Hibbets called the Oregon Values and Beliefs Survey. You may have heard of it, very wonkish stuff, but there's real substance there that I think, again, reinforces the conversation that you're going to be having today. In that survey, they proposed some trade-off questions. One was, should we focus on being stewards of the environment, perhaps at a cost of economic growth, Or should we focus on economic growth with perhaps an understandable greater cost to the environment? Statewide, not just in Portland, statewide, it was 57 to 35 in favor of the environment. It gets better. There was another statement that said, climate change is real, and we need to change our lives and behavior in order to deal with it. 72% statewide agreed with that statement. I like that. And then another one I like very much, should we rehabilitate people or should we punish them? Which should be the focus when they commit a crime? 66 to 27 in a state that still has mandatory minimum sentencing, hopefully for not much longer. So there's some culture. I love that. So we've made some of those things real in our policy, and again, have work to do. We have an amazing, robust nonprofit sector here. We have wonderful businesses like the one that we're sitting in, but we also have a burgeoning nonprofit sector that does everything from planting trees to sending medical and other assistance to the whole world through Mercy Corps, self-enhancement that helps young people achieve success no matter what their obstacles. There are hundreds of nonprofits in Portland. Portland is the best expression I know of what Alexis de Tocqueville said about America in 1843 when he wrote Democracy in America. He said, Americans are constantly forming associations, and what would be done by the aristocracy in England or the government in France is done by these nonprofit voluntary organizations. It was a radical idea then. And he said they do 1,000 things. They build churches, they build schools, they build hospitals, they take on 1,000 purposes. And here's what he said that I love so much. Nancy and I heard this quote when we were in Lewis and Clark together. He said, and in forming these associations, Americans practice a dangerous freedom. But in practicing that freedom, they learn the habits of the heart, which render freedom less dangerous. Wow. 150 years ago. Very thoughtful. And again, I think Portland has learned some of those habits of the heart, and that's what you're here to talk about. So I think perhaps in a city with some good public policy in place, an amazing nonprofit sector, and a lot of socially responsible businesses, there might be some convergence here that can help this movement. But you can help us. There's much more to do. And what I want to urge all of you who are Portlanders here, and those of you who aren't back home where you live, to push us in public policy, push us to do the right thing, push us to express these values in public policy. It is possible. We should get rid of mandatory minimum sentences. They don't work. They hurt people. They cost too much money. We should have a local fossil fuel export policy that is clear about to what extent do we want to participate in the old economy. There are things we can express in law and policy through government, and don't neglect that citizenship role that each of you plays as political animals as well. So I'm so happy that you're having this conversation. A couple of my staff, Jillian Detweiler's here, are going to be here for the whole thing. I'm unfortunately not, because I'm a mayor who's running from place to place. But I have to actually run off to a press conference after Dan's speech, but I'm actually very happy about having to run off because we're expressing that love in a new way that I'm very proud of, and that is our budget is better in the city of Portland, and our kids are at risk. So starting today, the first day after school, for the first time in a very long time, one of our community centers is going free for the whole summer to kids. What a basic good idea. So that's fun. That's love. So we're going to go over to Dishman Community Center and show some love to kids and start handing out those free cards that let them get into our community centers and do positive things with all that energy that they have. So enjoy this discussion. I'm so proud of Portland that you chose to come here with this conversation. And I'm so pleased that there's some Portlanders here who can be part of that and then express that in new ways here in our community. One of those Portlanders who I'm now very pleased to introduce is our host here in this amazing space. Dan Wieden grew up in Portland, started a little business with 5 employees, now 1,200. Offices in 8 cities around the world: Portland, New York City, London, Amsterdam, Delhi, Shanghai, Tokyo, Sao Paulo. Pretty amazing. Dan's also that communitarian citizen that I was talking about. He's involved in a wide variety of those nonprofit organizations in Portland: the American Indian College Fund, the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, EcoTrust, which is building this amazing project called the Red on Salmon across the river, where we're going to express that localism about food in a whole new way and allow a whole bunch of B Corps to grow and prosper there. And of course, Caldera, his own creation, as an amazing organization doing so much good in our city. His motivation has always been to build a place here where people can do the best work of their lives and be part of a city where people can live buen vivir. Please welcome Dan Wieden.
You're very good. Welcome to the Love Summit. Now, I've been in more than my share of business conferences, and I don't know about you, but too often it seems I go there and wind up disappointed, like trying to mine the same damn vein of gold that had been stripped away eons ago. Nothing new, nothing left. Not here today. You and I have assembled here to examine the nature of love and the role love plays or doesn't play in the highly competitive world of business, be the business large or small, young or old, local or global. Personally, I think the Love Summit has the potential to be one of the most provocative, most transformational get-togethers you've ever participated in. Now, to be straightforward, you are not looking at someone who spent his life studying various business practices in every category from every corner of the globe. On the contrary, there's only one business I know intimately, and that is Wieden+Kennedy. And you had to be there when it started. Kennedy and I threw open the doors back in 1982. We didn't have much money. We had about $500 a piece to start this thing. About the only way we could survive was we got the basement of an old labor temple, and we couldn't even afford a phone, quite honestly. We have to run down at the end of the hall and get a public phone. But that was really, really important. It was really, really important to be stupid and with no money, you know, which left us operating out of that place. And we also had one single client, finally, whose entire investment in advertising was $1.2 million. Phil Knight really didn't believe in advertising. It was the first thing he told me when we went, oh, good, that's fine. But actually, once again, the fact that he didn't believe in it, and we didn't know that much about it, it happens, man. It's like, it was really quite fun, and I think that you can't underestimate the power of ignorance. You really need to be stupid. In fact, we have a saying in all our offices is walk in stupid every morning. And we mean it, because somewhere between last night and this morning, something is different than it was. You better find out what it was, and don't feel so cocky because you knew yesterday. Anyway, the problem we had was finding staff. About the only people we could actually afford were people who had been fired in every other advertising agency in the world, or kids right out of school. And so we kind of saw ourselves as the ship of fools. And actually, we just started making it up. We tried this, tried that, failing here, rocking it there. The work turned out to be amazing. The Nike suddenly started flying off the shelves. Phil started throwing more money in the marketing. But soon the big agencies came and went, wow, there's some good work being done there. So they'd come in with big salary operations, started stealing our people. And we thought, what the hell? Are we running an advertising school? I mean, we can as a school, but we can't get the product out. So we could grow talent, we just couldn't retain it. So we wrung our hands day and night, and what trumps money? What trumps money? It's the culture, stupid. And did we build a sticky one? a culture so wild, so right-brained, so aching to overthrow traditional advertising principles, you had to think twice before heading to the exits. Thanks to our culture, Wieden+Kennedy is kind of a big international deal these days, as the mayor has pointed out. And we've got a bunch of really important clients, which kind of dumbfounds me about from Nike to Coke, Verizon, ESPN, Chrysler, Dodge, et cetera, But here's the real thing. The bigger we get, the more important our culture is to us, to holding us together. The photo wall, when you came into this building, and maybe several single photos of individuals as well. If you've come to work at Wieden+Kennedy, you've come here to fail harder than you ever have before. Why? Because somewhere inside that failure is often where the magic lurks. And while you're here, it is your job to explore every inch of your personality, to find out what a complex, contradictory human being you truly are, and what astonishing people you're working with, shoulder to shoulder, synapse to synapse. This business of ours demands a host of very, very different people under pressure, different people who have the ability to bond with others, unlike themselves. The stronger those bonds between people, the healthier Wieden+Kennedy. So, I'm trying to put off coming the four-letter word here, love. To be totally honest, it makes me wince a bit, this love thing. Now, I have no reticence to say I love my wife. I have no problem saying I love all my family members, living and dead, no problem. I love my cat, love my dog, my canary. Well, when the canary gets singing at 5:30, not so much. I like my canary, not certain he qualifies for love, but right up there with a heavy-duty like. I was actually thinking maybe it might be more comfortable if we all called this morning's event the Like Summit. But she wouldn't let me get away with that. I suppose it's a little watered down, sounds kind of dumb, I guess. But I asked a couple of people who work here a simple question. What is it that makes Wieden+Kennedy's culture so strong, so weird, so addictive? Now, would you say love has something to do with it? And here are some unvarnished replies.
Does love have anything to do with this culture of Wieden+Kennedy? It's an important question.
Do you know anybody that loves advertising? I mean, I don't know anybody that loves advertising. When I meet someone who says they love advertising, I think I hate them.
They say that if it's meant to be, it should feel really easy, but I feel like what we keep learning is that love is actually a lot of work.
I think the relationships you make while you work here, I was about to say while you live here, because I don't even think it's work anymore, is something I've never encountered in my life. And I think most of the people that have worked here feel that way.
I care deeply about every person in that building. It's odd.
I think I just told Jason 5 minutes ago that I love him. I told Salis last week that I love him.
No, I'll just speak for myself. It's like I hate advertising, and I hate most advertising agencies, and I hate most people who work in advertising. And what I feel here is a kind of kindred spirit of people who feel that.
I care about Jason, who's holding the camera right now. I care about Rachel, who's holding this boom. I care deeply about Peter.
I did have my boss tell me to not sleep with anybody in the agency, though. Unsolicited. Just called me in one day and said, listen, do not sleep with anybody in the agency. It's a bad idea.
It's really good advice.
I was like, okay.
Be free spirit, a free thinker, be independent.
I think the things that I love about it probably the most are the freedom that it gives me. That I'm allowed to be who I want to be. I can dress the way I want to be. I can grow a beard, and it's okay.
Coming back to the question, it's like love, that feels really squishy. And And it's not, it's like, I mean, there's some big-hearted human beings in this place that do wonderful, lovable, loving things, but at the core of this place, it's like it can't be defined by that. It has a much harder edge than that.
I told Dan last week that I love him, and I truly am so grateful that I can say that I love so many people that I work with every day.
I think there's more hate than love here. Because I love Wieden and Kennedy.
You know, I think what's going on here at Wieden & Kennedy is there's an emotional thread here that connects us. Not for the rest of our lives, perhaps, but for the time we've had together. And in several cases, people that have left here years and years ago still stay in touch with one another. And they created their own website, actually called the Deacom Years, and share the stories of those 13 magical years we all worked and lived together in the Deacom building before moving here. You know, excuse me, but it's funny, for all our business success, which honestly seems inexplicable, it has had little to do with hardcore business practices. And everybody will point that out to you if you were here. No, I think our success is because of all that soft stuff, that affection for one another, that deep understanding of what we need from one another and what they need from us. It just ain't the money. It just ain't fame. It's for all those years we've spent loving one another, to be really honest. That's been the big payoff. You know, I'll end with a little exotic tale. A while back, we started a school inside Wieden & Kennedy to see if we could find new approaches to teaching creativity, and approaches that they ended up being quite radical. And the man behind that was a guy named Jelly Helm, an amazing teacher, an ex-creative director of ours, and he gathered 12 exceedingly odd and wonderful young people and opened the school inside the heart of this building. And a week or two after the year had started, a young man came up to Jelly and said, "So, the school is great, but what is this Wieden & Kennedy thing all about?" And Jelly smiled and said, "Well, I'll just tell you this. When it comes to Wieden & Kennedy, it's not about what it's about." Jelly left it there. I will too. Thank you very much.